Søren Kierkegaard, the great Danish philosopher and theologian of his time, made the distinction between hindsight, foresight, and insight. Hindsight is that which we do. We gain sort of understanding looking back at things. And he would maintain that in some ways, all of our life will only make sense in the day of our resurrection, because we will look back at our life and it will all sort of make sense through hindsight, making sense of the past. But then there's a foresight that when we look into the future, we can see how things will play out. You know, we have a foresight of this is how it's going to be. This is where he suggests that we have to enter into a faith, a trust that things will turn out, things will pan out. But the one that has the most power is that of insight, because we're in the moment, the very moment of something, we can see and we can understand what's going on in a deeper way. And this is where Bartimaeus, the blind man, has already got. Because he sees Jesus and knows him to be the Messiah and says, Jesus, Son of David, heal me. He calls out, calling him by his name as the Messiah. See, the challenge is today, we hear of Bartimaeus wanting to have physical sight. And of course, what that mirrors is for us to want to have spiritual sight. Because for us, we don't struggle with physical blindness, although we might be getting a little older and not seeing as well as we used to. But we're talking about a deeper sense of sight, because he has that. That's his spiritual insight that he has. But what are we blind to? See, I think we suffer from a number of blindness in all three areas. We're often blind how God has worked in our lives. This is a real blindness, a blindness of hindsight. And the only way to cure this is through prayer and reflection. It is only through opening ourselves to God's sight, where we will look and we will see, God's hand was there in the midst of the struggle of my life. And I didn't see it, but now I do. And then in foresight, unless we embrace our faith, and the faith is that of a intellectual assent to God, recognizing that God is always beyond us, and I cannot know the future completely, or ever will, and not just a intellectual assent, but also an emotional desire to connect with God, which is what we've been talking about this weekend in our prayer and retreat, is that we then trust that no matter what happens, that God will be present to me, that I will see Jesus in all of what will happen to me. But where I think where the greatest sort of traction or greatest ground can be had is in insight. Because if we can sit in prayer and reflection, then we can see at a deeper level. We can see with insight. We can see with eyes of faith. And it's here where we can make or allow the greatest change and conversion to happen in our lives. Because it's where God will hold us and then show us what is happening now and gently guide us to accepting what is happening now, whether that be good or whether it be not so good for us, that God is with us now. See, that's what we've been trying to do this weekend, these last 2 days in prayer, in our retreat, is to see with insight. But to do that, we have to have a little hindsight. So see, where is God operated in my life? And we have to be prepared to look into the future as God is going to be with me, foresight in the future. But right now, I want to experience Him now. I mean, in the end, we want to do and say what Bartimaeus says. Lord, I want to see. Open my eyes, Lord. Open my eyes to where you have been in the past in my life. Open my eyes so that I can see you in the future, going forward, in hope. But mostly open my eyes that I can see you now. That you are here and with me. Open the eyes of my heart.